you're looking at will change. How are you looking at it? I know I say that all the time, but I'm trying to figure out how to say it in different ways. Because last week we looked at the 4 kingdoms of consciousness, and to be alert on, where are we coming from? In our thoughts, in our actions, in our words, in our deeds. Where are we coming from? And to bless that journey. So my talk title today is Sacred Audacity. What the heck? And I have to warn you, I'm going to be a little audacious today. Maybe. Today. Because we can choose, as we know, to live in harmony or disharmony. Our experience in life is a reflection of our choices. I know sometimes we just don't want to hear that. But what if today is an opportunity to make any necessary adjustments to achieve a different outcome in your life? Are you ready for that? Yes. Some people are really nodding, yeah. Are you willing to do the work though?
Yes.
Yes. I affirm, I am bold, courageous, and brave. Say that. I am bold, courageous, and brave. Again, I am bold, courageous, and brave. That's being audacious. Again, I am bold, courageous, and brave. Turn to your neighbor and tell them you are bold, courageous, and brave.
You are bold, courageous, and brave.
Tell somebody else that. Tell somebody else that. You are bold, courageous, and brave. So feel the vibe of that, right? Feel the lift off of that. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it's a vibration. That's it. Okay, have a great Sunday. I'm going to throw my stuff away here. So by definition, audacity, and this is because the theme, I should backtrack a little bit, the theme of the Centers for Spiritual Living this month is called Holy Boldness. Ooh, almost seems like an oxymoron. Holy smoke, Batman. You remember Holy Smoke, Batman? So my talk title is Sacred Audacity. So by definition, audacity is a willingness to take bold risks. Just being willing. Bravery, courage, daring. It can also mean rude or disrespectful behavior, can't it? They had the audacity to hang up on me. They had the audacity to cut me off in traffic. So it has some different meanings. I was thinking about this, that I was reminded of the audacity, I think of the church faith I grew up in, that told me I was born an original sinner. And I believed it. Bless their hearts. But I discovered years later that I was born an original blessing. Yes. We all are.
Amen.
So, the audacity of me claiming my divine birthright. I dare you, I dare each of you to claim that all your needs are met. What if you did that every day? All my needs are met. I dare you to claim that with God all things are possible, or with the Creator all things are possible, whatever name you use. That to me is sacred audacity. Because I believe life invites us to live with joy and gusto and vigor. And you know what the only thing holding us back? He talked about it in the song, ourselves. It's an inside job. I finished reading Nelson Mandela's biography and watched that film a couple years ago. And I'm reminded that if he can make his way out of that extreme of circumstances and experiences that he went through for so many years, we all can do it. What a great way shower he is. If you've never read anything about him, it'll blow your mind what he went through and came out and survived in an even bigger way than he imagined. But we have to work in partnership with Spirit to get through this thing called life. Because all things are truly possible, especially the seemingly impossible. So So I asked Terry to make sure you all had a pen. So does everybody have a pen or something to write with? And if not, there's some on the table back there. So somewhere on your bulletin, where there's a blank space, probably at the bottom, I want you to write the word impossible. You're going to need 2 lines. You're going to have 2 lines. So write impossible. Do I need to spell it? No. Write impossible. Okay? Now underneath it, separate the M and the P. So write I am space possible. Look at that. Look at that. You figured that out real quick, didn't you? And some of you have heard this before, but I just want you to see it. Impossible to I'm possible. Just by making space. Making sacred space, maybe. All right, your test is over. Oh, turn your phones off. In my life coaching, when I work with people, my theme is moving from what is to what's possible. And you know, a basic tenet of the Science of Mind philosophy is that there's a power for good in the universe and we can use it, right? Again, we hear that. And this is simply a sacred principle and a universal law. And it applies to everybody. Everybody. There's a power for good in the universe and I can use it. Do you ever forget that? I do. I don't forget it for long though. So when we learn, know, and understand this principle, then we can act with holy boldness and sacred audacity to name, claim, and declare our good, even if it's not here yet. I name, claim, and declare my good now. Let's repeat that. I name, claim, and declare my good now. Again, I name, claim, and declare my good now. Now, not tomorrow, but now. You have the authority to do that, to speak in that way. Yeah. We have a choice in how we engage in life. So we can either hide our light, or we can live boldly in a vibrant manner. And it doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be. We get to step out, draw outside the lines. I'm thinking next time Joy does her coloring, we're going to go outside the lines. Let's all just do that. Because I'm always like trying to stay in that little line, and I just thought of that. Let's get messy. Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Remember gold nuggets. I always forget to remind you, but some of you are already making your notes. So today I want to talk about 3 steps towards boldness: courage, connection, and imagination. The first one is courage, inner courage. I remember during the early days of COVID, when things were really uncertain, nobody knew what to do, where to go, how to be, what to touch, what not to touch. There was so much uncertainty and fear. And I had to stop teaching my yoga classes in the studio, so we went to Zoom like everybody else did. And I remember saying to my yoga students, it takes courage to not fall apart right now. Because everyone was so upset, so uncertain. And I just, every day I would remind them, it just takes courage to hold it together, to stay the course, to trust. So where in your life could you use some courage? Because it takes inner courage to think even about acting boldly, let alone doing it. And we have to overcome our fears, don't we, and our inhibitions. Have you ever said to yourself, what will people think of me? Or can I really do this? Or who am I to do this? That's one of mine, old ones. We need to examine our own judgment about what makes something bold or not. And sometimes we're so culturally socialized that we are trained to think that something must be done a certain way or is unacceptable. Bless our hearts. There's a funny story I remember. I don't know where I got this, but this gal was having a party and cooking a roast. And her mother was there and her daughter. They were, in the kitchen getting the roast prepared. And the mom cut the two ends of the roast, put it in the pan, and stuck it in the oven. And the daughter said, well, why did you cut the two ends of the roast, Mom? And she said, well, that's the way your mom always did it. I mean, your grandma, my mom, your grandma always did it. Oh, okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So they sit down to dinner and they're having this great roast. And the granddaughter says to Grandma, Grandma, why did your mom said she cut the two ends of the roast? Because you did it. And Grandma said, well, that's because I only had that size of a pan. And so the mom just followed that because her mom did it, but it wasn't relevant to her anymore because she had a big pan. Isn't that funny? I mean, how many of us do stuff like that just because they did it? Question authority. Remember that bumper sticker? I just remember that. Question authority. So where in your life are you doing something because it's always been done that way? And maybe it's correct, and maybe there's another way. Who knows? I think when we take a closer look at what holds us back, we can then tap into how those old beliefs how those old belief systems developed. I dare you to question your old beliefs and see if they bring you peace. All right, the next one is another step of boldness is tapping into our spiritual connection. And sacred audacity allows us to do things we don't necessarily think we can because we're tapping into that inner power, that connection, that it guides us to do what is ours to do and how to do it. It's like being in Kingdom 3 that I talked about last week. Life is done through me. We have to surrender, though. Surrender. Surrender's not a bad word. It has a bad rap. But when we surrender to the divine, to that higher power, we're allowing that spiritual connection to guide us so that we can accomplish great things. In the Bible quote that I use for myself is, I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father within me that doeth the work. That works for me because there is a greater power within each of you that can do the work, that knows the answer, that has the solution. But you have to let it in. You have to invite it in. And it requires trust and faith, doesn't it? Which we have to develop. The more we trust, the more we're able to trust. And all we need to do is take small steps. One at a time. Practice the presence. That's how we develop, I think, sacred audacity, one step at a time. So ask yourself, do I have any hidden beliefs or fears about claiming my connection to my divine self, or spirit, or God? And the third idea of moving into sacred audacity is it takes imagination. And I know we talk a lot about imagination here. It's such a pearl of great price in the mind. There may be something that you've been wanting to do but are afraid for whatever reason in your life. And yet your spiritual tools will guide you. I let go of any fears and I focus on faith. Repeat this after me. I let go of any fears. So when we use our imagination, we can notice those old stories we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough, I'll never do it, it really can't happen. And we can start to retell the story in a more positive way that opens us up to a greater idea, a greater possibility. Imagine that. I've said that a couple times. Imagine yourself fulfilling this thing called life successfully. Imagine that. What would that be like for you? In a relationship, in your health, in your finances, in your career? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's another great quote from the Bible. Even if you're not a Bible person, that says a lot. So I always recommend to people to write in your journal about what comes up. Writing is powerful. Get support or vision with a prayer partner. Talk to a practitioner, have a session to talk things through. Inch your way forward to actually doing the thing that you want to do. It's not wishful thinking. And then we stand in gratitude that we're shown the way, even though it's not here, we act as though it's already done. So we open to courage, connection, and imagination and live into holy boldness. Holy Batman. Holy smoke, Batman. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, take a breath. And ask yourself, what is calling to my soul right now? What is next in my life? Just listen, ask the question. What's calling your soul? What's next? You may have an idea or a vision, or maybe the answer's right here, or maybe it's going to be shown to you later. Take a breath. And now begin to just notice any blocks in your awareness that keep you from possibly moving forward in that vision of your soul. Just notice any blocks. And give yourself permission to step into your sacred audacity and claim your good right now. Just silently saying to yourself, I claim this, whatever it is. And imagine taking one baby step forward towards your soul's calling this week. What will that step be for you? Just be open. Take a breath, you can come back. So I have a story that I want to share to close. One day, a professor entered his classroom and asked his students to prepare for a surprise test. They all waited anxiously at their desks for the exam to begin, and the professor handed out the exams with the text facing down, as usual, and once he handed them all out, he asked the students to turn over their papers. To everyone's surprise, there were no questions. There was just a dot in the center of the paper. The professor, seeing their expression on everyone's faces, told them the following: I want you to write about what you see here. The students, a little confused, got started on the task. At the end of the class, the professor took all the exams and started reading each one out loud in front of all the students. All of them, with no exception, defined the dot, trying to explain its position in the center of the sheet. After all had been read, the classroom was silent. The professor started to explain. I'm not going to grade you on this. I just wanted to give you something to think about. No one wrote about the blank, expansive part of the paper. Everyone focused on the dot. And the same thing happens in our lives, he said. We insist on only focusing on the dot. Our health issue that bothers us, the lack of money we have, the complicated relationship with a family member, the disappointment with a friend, etc. He said the dark spots are very small when compared to everything we have in our lives, but these are the ones that pollute our mind. Take your eyes away from the dot in your life, he said. Enjoy your blessings. Enjoy the possibilities and each moment that this life gives you. Be happy and live a fulfilled life with love and open to the greater possibilities. Interesting, huh? I believe that sacred audacity requires tapping into our spiritual connection, where we can look beyond the appearance of those dots. They're there. We're not denying them. We're just willing to open to the bigger picture. And it requires inner courage and holy boldness to know, like Jesus did, that I can do all things through the Christ which strengthens me. I think now is the perfect time to start, restart, visit or revisit an intention or an idea to do what it is your heart and soul are longing for. Why not start now? When we get serious about our spiritual work, we can hold bold action as sacred and step out knowing that there are no missteps, simply opportunities to try it again and to awaken. We turn our attention from fear to faith and really know that we are guided. That the divine, the holy presence, the higher power, God, source, is truly the wind beneath our wings. And we become the butterfly. We become the beneficial presence on the planet. I open to courage, connection, and imagination to live a grand life. Repeat after me. I open to courage.
I open to courage,
Connection and imagination.
connection and imagination,
To live a grand life.
to live a grand life.
One more time. I open to courage.
I open to courage,
Connection and imagination.
connection and imagination,
To live a